I started using drugs when I was 21, became addicted. By the time I was 24, I had charges of forgery, stolen vehicles, theft, assault. I was 24 when I became pregnant with my daughter. And the first 3 months of my pregnancy, I continued to use drugs, knowing that I was pregnant. On January 16th of 1997, I had gone back to my parents' house and literally had gotten down on my hands and knees and prayed to God to save me. I cussed at God. My God was big enough to handle it, so I knew He would understand where I was coming from. I begged with Him and I pleaded with Him to do something to save my life because I couldn't do it on my own. I had probation violation and I had warrants out for my arrest. On January 16th, when I prayed to God and begged Him to help me, the very next morning, my attorney had called and said, "I've worked a deal with the prosecutor and I need you to turn yourself in." And so I did. I went down there. I was facing 2.5 years in prison. And because of God, I was sentenced to a rehab instead. I was sent there for 15 months. And that's where I learned to be a mother. I took parenting classes and drug classes and group classes and individual counseling. It was where I began to learn who I was again. When I moved out here to Virginia, my dad had said to me, you need to find a church to go to. So my dad had said, I know this church, it's called PCC, and they meet at the high school. And so we went to the high school and I checked it out, and I knew that I wanted Savannah raised in church. And she had already been raised in church. So when we got out here, she was 10 years old. And I started going to PCC in 2007 and started raising her at PCC with me. And she went through kids and then into student ministry. Jeremy and I met in 1994. We were both drug addicts. We dated, and he had gone to prison for the first time in 1994. And when he went away to prison, I just went off and just led my own life and continued in my addiction. In 2011, Jeremy had sent me a Facebook friend request, and 28 days later we were married. I flew to Arizona and we got married, and everybody thought we were crazy, and we probably were, but again, it was God knew what He was doing when we didn't. Jeremy was not a believer when we first met, and because I had been raised in church my entire life and knew God and had a relationship with God, we would have these conversations, and he would talk about what he believed and I would talk about what I believed, and we finally got to a point where, I got to the point where I said, I don't want to have these conversations anymore. You believe what you believe, I believe what I believe, and you're not going to change me. And so then it was a couple of weeks later, he said, I think I want to go to church. And so I said, I know the perfect place. And we walked into PCC for the first time. When we launched Not Away, I told Jeremy, I said, I'm only going one time. I'll go, I'll help you launch this campus, but I'm not going back. I couldn't bring myself to, I could go into the prison with him and launch this, but there was just no way I was going back. I have a friend who is a police officer who was killed in the line of duty in 2017. And the guy who killed him is in Virginia Correctional Center. I had a lot of hatred for and couldn't forgive the guy who killed my friend. As much hesitation as I had going into it, I left there that first night telling Jeremy, I'm going back with you. These guys they say that we're helping them, but I don't think that they truly understand what a difference they're making in all of our volunteers as well. The Holy Spirit just moved in me one day and said, listen, if I can forgive him, you can too. And I was able to forgive the guy who killed my friend. I sit in there with those guys each week, and I love them regardless of what they've done. And I love them. And I had to be able to forgive this guy as well. And I was able to. I'm Chenoa Ford, and I'm just one.